So, graphing linear inequalities. First, we have to recall what an equality is before we can figure out what an inequality is. So, what do we remember about this stuff? Does that look familiar? Yeah? Okay, good. That is what? The equation for a line. It probably has slope, yeah, okay. So that's the equation for a line, any line, okay? That's the equation for a linear relationship, okay? Linear, okay? That's an equality because it's an equal sign. We're going to be doing, right, these are inequalities. Greater than, less than, or greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. But first we got to get the line, okay? So, what does all this mean? Y is the y coordinate. X is the next coordinate. Okay, so far so good. What's M stand for, Alicia? Okay. Yeah. And B is the y-intercept. Okay? So that's what all that stuff means. So, for example, graph that thing. Ooh, where's all my stuff? There you go. That's all right. Pen. Okay, so we want to graph it. Now, graph paper would be nice, but in the absence of that, just do a quick and dirty little graph, okay? Which one's the X? Which one's the Y? X is always horizontal, Y is always vertical, okay? This is plus on the right of X. That's negative. I'm going to put that, okay? Y, up is positive, down's negative. Okay? How do we graph this? I know the slope is 2. Okay? The y-intercept is where you want to start. I know it goes through this point. This is the y-intercept. It goes through this point right there. 1. Positive 1. Okay? Now I don't know yet, if my line goes like this, don't do this, like that, okay? But I do know it goes through that point. So that's where the slope comes in. The slope is 2. Okay? Slope is rise over run. If you're given the two numbers as a fraction, like 3 over 2, then that's pretty easy to see. That's the rise, 1, 2, 3. That's the run, 1, 2. Line looks like that. Here, I don't have a number in the bottom. So what do? We put 1 there. Okay? Because 2 is the same as 2 over 1. It's the same number, right? Now we see a rise over a run. So from this point, I'm going to rise 2 units, 1, 2, and I'm going to run either a unit that way or a unit that way. Which way do I go? Well, I need to know if my slope's positive or negative. Remember, positive lines are ones that tilt like this, okay? And negative lines are ones that go that way. Okay, this thing's positive, so I want to put my point there. 2 up, 1 unit of run, there's my line. Okay? Is that positive slope? Yeah, it's tilting to the right, okay? So, if I grab my meter stick, yeah. anything, that's a vertical line, that you say there's no slope, it's infinite, okay? But anything fractionally that way, this is all positive slope until it gets horizontal, that's zero slope. Okay, these are all positive. These are all negative. Okay? So that's one way to graph a line. If it's in this form, y equals mx plus b. But not everything you get is going to be in that form, and some of them are going to be pretty hard to put in that form. So here's another way to find out how to graph a line. How many points do we need to graph a line? Just need 2 points. Okay? And the 2 points we want to try to think of are, okay, the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Because then, if we get some big ugly equation like this, who wants to put this in y equals mx plus b form? Okay, you don't need to. That's a lot of work, and you're likely to make a mistake, and then everything else is wrong. So all you have to do is get your x-intercepts and y-intercepts. So what happens at, well, let's start with the x-intercept. What happens at the x-intercept? This might not be my line. Don't do this. Let's say that's my line. What happens at the x-intercept? What's my value of y? It's 0. I don't care where this thing goes through the x-intercept. Y is always 0. Okay? With that little piece of knowledge, we let it be 0 in the equation. 0 is 2x plus 1, and we solve it for x. That's going to give us our x-intercept. Okay? That's a lot easier to solve than minus 18/3 y plus 1/2 x is something or other. Put that in y equals mx plus b form. Okay? So, minus 1 to both sides. Negative 1 is 2x, right? Got to solve it for x. How do I get rid of the 2? Divide it away. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other side. And the x-intercept is minus 1/2. Okay? Does that look like minus 1/2 right there? Well, we just found out that it is. Okay? So what are the coordinates? X is minus 1/2 and y is 0. That's the coordinates, right? But I know y is 0 because it's an x-intercept. Okay? Y-intercept. Well, I already know it's 1. Okay? It tells me that because it's in y equals mx plus b form. But they're not always going to look like this. What happens at the y-intercept? X is 0. Okay? Always, always, always. I don't care where this line crosses the y-axis. If it crosses it here, what's the value of x? 0. Okay? You have to memorize this. But this one's easy. Y is 2 times 0 plus 1, or y is 1. That's the y-intercept. We already knew that. Okay? So what are the coordinates? 0 and 1. There it is. So all you need to do a line is 2 points. If you just have the 2 intercepts, okay, that's how we're going to be graphing most of these things. Okay? Any questions so far? That is Math 10. Okay? Here's the Math 11 part. Graph y, which one do I want? Is less than 2x plus 1. Now it's an inequality. Okay? This is the Math 11 part. Does the equation look similar? Did we just do this one? Yeah. Okay? So when we're graphing this, what's the difference between this and this? This equal means anything on this line is a solution, okay? This is where y is 2x plus 1. Everything on the line is a solution. Now it's not, okay? So you would go through, and the first step is find what we say is the boundary line, okay? I've already done that. So i.e., treat as just an equality, okay? Solve for x-intercept and y-intercept. All you need to do a line is 2 points. Step 2. What this means is it's either below the line or it's above the line. What do you need, John? Yeah, boundary line. That's what the book calls it. Okay, we could just say line, but they say boundary line. Okay, so if less than or greater than, we don't use a solid line. We use a dashed line. Here it's going to be dashed. Because it's not equal, that line is not part of the solution area. Okay? If it's less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, then the line is part of the solution area. I'm going to use a solid line. Lastly, use a test point to see which side we shade. Okay? That will be the solution area. Okay, we haven't done that yet. Let's write down the steps. Okay? So this less than means we're shading one side of this line. Okay, we don't know which one yet. That's where we use a test point. So find the boundary line. Okay, so here's my graph. Okay, I already did this though. My x-intercept is -1/2 and 1. Okay, or 1. -1/2 and 0. All right, so -1/2 and 0, there it is. What's the y-intercept? Well, this one's in y equals mx plus b form, so it is 0 and 1, or we don't know what it is, you don't see it, and you solve for it, okay? Put x is 0, solve it for y. 0 and, if that's 1/2, then that's 1. Make it a little twice as long. Okay? Now this is where the math 10 ends and the math 11 begins. That's the line, but this isn't equal to it. It's less than or greater than. We dash this line. Okay? Take it all the way down, all the way up. This goes on forever and ever and ever. It doesn't just stop here. Why am I dashing the line? Who caught that when I said it? Because it's not equal. This line is not a solution. Okay? This y will never be equal to 2x plus 1. Okay? If that makes sense, great. If not, well, just memorize it. If it's less than or greater than, dash it. If it's equal, if we have an equal part, we make it a solid line because that is part of the solution area. Okay? Lastly, This is either this, don't do this, okay, or it's this. That's what the answer is going to look like. I don't know what side to shade here yet, right? Y is less than this stuff. We got to find out what side to shade. So we use a test point. The nicest test point to use is the origin. Because when you substitute this in the equation, it's the nicest thing to use, because anything times 0 is 0. Okay? You'll forget this, but I'll say it anyway. I can choose any point I want here. Okay? I could choose a point over here. All right? I don't know, -5 and 5. Let's see if it works. If it does, it's part of the solution area. I could choose a point over here. I just like positives. I hate all this negative stuff. Okay? 4 and 4. If that point works in this equation, it's part of the solution area, and I'll shade this side. If it doesn't work, then it's not part of the solution area. I got to shade the other side of the line. Okay? So let's see if this works. Okay? How do I do that? I substitute. Okay? My equation is y is less than 2x plus 1. Substitute. Y is 0. X is 0. Does this work? Is 0 less than 0 plus 1? Does that work? Is 0 less than 1? Jeff? Yes, it is. Okay, so this point is in the solution area. So that's what I want to shade. There's 0, 0. This is a part of the solution. It works. So it doesn't matter what point I take in this whole shaded area, it's going to work. Okay? What would I do if it didn't work? Yeah, so just for reference, let's say I pick this point over there. What are some coordinates that would work for that point, Kristen? Hypothetically, what would this be? I don't even have any numbers here, right? But this has got to be -x, +y. How about, would that be possible coordinates for that point? It shouldn't work in this equation, should it? Because it's not part of the solution area. Let's see what happens. Y is 5. Is that less than 2 times -4 plus 1? Is 5 less than -8 plus 1? Is 5 less than -7? Definitely not. So that's not part of the solution area. I would shade the other side of the line. Okay? So like I said, it doesn't matter what test point to use, but this is the nicest one. Okay? If the line looks like it goes right over top of the origin, then you probably can't use that point. You have to use a different one. Okay? Let me give you one more, and then let's see how we do. Example 2. -2y plus 2x is less than 4. Solve. Graph. What's the solution? Okay? What do I do first? Find the boundary line. Okay? Now, is this one in y equals mx plus b form? No, it's not. And you could do it that way. You could solve this for y equals mx plus b, but I'm telling you, don't bother. Don't waste your time. Let's just find the x and the y intercept. That's 2 points, and I can draw this line. Okay? So, find boundary line. Okay? X-intercept. What happens at the x-intercept? Always, 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 y is 0. Okay? Without that bit of knowledge, you won't know how to do this. Okay, so substitute y is 0. -2 times 0 plus 2x. We're going to treat this as an equation, right? So we get rid of the inequality. We just want the line here. I'm not shading it. So I just make it an equals. All right? That's 0. I have 2x is 4. So x is 2. What are the coordinates of that? That's 2, 0, right? Because y was 0. So there's 1 point, 1, 2, and 0. Let's find the other intercept. The y-intercept, I know x is 0. Okay, so substitute x is 0 in the equation. Just treat it like an equal sign. Negative 2y is 4. Divide by negative 2. And that's the value of the y-intercept. So what's the coordinates? Well, I know x is 0, right? So that's 0 minus 2. Negative 1, negative 2. How many points do I need to do a line? 2, and I got them. Okay? That's, like I said, that's still Math 10, guys. Now, what's next? If it's less than or greater than, use a dashed line. If it's equal, use a solid line. Do I want to dash this or make it solid? Dash it. You all say overwhelmingly. Okay? Last, what side do I want to shade? How do I do that? Erlina? I know you don't, because you're not paying attention. Use a test point. Can I use 0, 0 here? Sure. My line looks like it's far away from it. Like I said, if my line, guys, was right on top, I mean, I can't tell what side I want to shade here, right? But if any case you can use 0, 0, then do it. Okay? I definitely can tell if this is going to be a solution or not. Substitute it in. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 2 times 0 is 0. Is 0 less than 4? Sure is. That means 0, 0 is part of the solution area. So that's the side I'm going to shade. Okay? And just shade it like that, guys. Don't like sit there and shade it for like 20 minutes. That's a waste of your time. Okay? 5 or 6 quick lines. There it is. It's craft. Okay, any questions? You could watch me do 50 more, okay, but you don't know how to do it until you do some on your own, right? So for starters, 1, 2, and 5, A and B. Okay, tomorrow I'll give you a couple more examples, give you a couple more questions on the same page, and then day after that, maybe the same thing again. Okay, it's going to take a while for this stuff to sink in.